OpenChain ISO 5230 is the international standard for open source license compliance. It has been created by your peers over a period of more than 5 years. This standard allows any company to adopt the key requirements of a quality open source license compliance program. It is especially important to talk about this today because you and your peers, your supply chain, are all going to be positively impacted by our release as an ISO standard last December. It's now possible to reduce the amount of bespoke discussions, negotiations, contract language, communication, remediation by using this international standard. Let's recap a little about what this is and why it means so much to you. First of all, this is a process standard that defines the key requirements of a quality open source license compliance program. It is based on the experience of hundreds of companies in decades of use of open source. We have built this from understanding clearly where errors or omissions can occur and ensuring that those particular failure points are carefully addressed in a considered efficient manner. Here's how it works. Our standard is very compact. It's only 7 pages long, and that's because instead of being a large prescriptive checklist or similar, this standard defines the inflection points where a process should exist to ensure a quality open source license compliance program. The inflection points are defined on a company basis or a program basis. Most frequently, people are keen to ensure that the software they ingest and export is carefully monitored, that they know exactly what license applies. To accomplish this, a quality open source license compliance program will have processes on inbound to identify the software, internally to track what's happening with the software, training for personnel, a policy to guide the overarching approach, and then on outbound, once again, to double check what the software is. This is a simple, elegant way to make sure that we know what license applies to the final end product. Now, our goal with OpenChain is and always has been to address the supply chain. We do this by having company after company adopt this simple process standard. Every company that uses the standard is providing increased certainty and trust throughout the supply chain. The methodology is simple, the reasoning clear. And in the many years of our exploration of the market, initial outreach as an industry standard in the market, and subsequently as we built the ISO release, we know that the process inflection points work. We know that it works across multiple sectors, from consumer electronics to automotive to defense. And we know that it's possible for companies of all sizes to adopt this standard efficiently and for it to be immediately effective. We've been impressed by how it has entered not only supply chain dynamics, but also in areas such as mergers and acquisitions, security, and venture capital investment. Our standard allows anyone, anywhere, to check if a company has a quality open source license compliance program. And conversely, it allows the opposite. It allows any company, anywhere, to make sure that they have the correct processes to identify software incoming, internally, and outbound. The ramifications are large. Now, put most simply, our primary focus is the supply chain. And every company that adopts OpenChain becomes an excellent citizen of the supply chain. Anyone dealing with them as a customer or supplier knows very clearly what type of process approach they have to open source license compliance. If they're using OpenChain, the process approach they have is the international standard for open source license compliance. It removes all of the uncertainty, all of the potential confusion, and all of the challenge of complexity that has otherwise existed in our supply chain. We would like you to be part of this. We invite you to join our project, to adopt our standard and to do so in a way that provides the maximum benefit to you. If there are a couple of key messages I could ask you to take away from today, it would be that 1, open source license compliance now has an ISO standard. There is no ambiguity in that. 2, the standard is compact and efficient. 3, it is battle tested for more than half a decade in the market to be suitable for companies of all sizes in all market sectors. And finally, this standard is ready and waiting for you right now. If you go to our website, you will find our vibrant community and immense support network, ranging from our mailing lists to our bi-weekly webinars, through to a reference library of supporting material, from checklists to flowcharts to policy templates, available under CC0 licensing. And if you want to kick the tires on adopting the standard, or simply health check your organization, you can access our online free self-certification service, a questionnaire that captures the standard and puts it into a yes/no question format so any company anywhere can use it. This is the year for us to make sure this standard crosses the supply chain as effectively and as quickly as possible. The more companies that use this, the greater the trust, the fewer the license compliance issues. And the result is simply increased efficiency. We will spend less to accomplish more. We remove the uncertainty that has existed in some sectors around open source license compliance. And we reduce our spend for a greatly increased result.